Right now, 3 of the most undervalued SUVs on the used market are sitting on lots getting ignored, while buyers next to them are spending $15,000, $18,000, $20,000 on vehicles I see failing in my shop every single month. 20 years of turning wrenches teaches you something car reviewers will never tell you. The used car market doesn't price reliability. It prices reputation. And there is a massive gap between those two things. And that gap is where you either save $10,000 or throw it away. The number 1 car on this list? The internet actively tells people to avoid it. I put one on my lift last spring, checked everything, engine, transmission, frame, all of it, and I told the owner, this is the best $10,000 you will ever spend on 4 wheels. That car had 104,000 miles on it. It's going to 250,000 without breaking a sweat. Stick around. I'll show you exactly which one it is, and why the internet is dead wrong. 3 cars. All under $12,000 on the used market right now. All capable of going 250,000 miles with basic maintenance. And none of them are getting the attention they deserve, because of marketing, because of media bias, and in one case, because of a defect scandal from a completely different model year that has absolutely nothing to do with the car you'd actually be buying. Here's what I want you to keep in mind while we go through these. Every entry has one specific maintenance item that either saves you or destroys you. Ignore it, and you'll be writing a check that could have bought you a second car. Catch it early, and you're driving for pennies on the dollar while the guy next to you is financing a new payment. Car number 2 has a V6 engine that is, I'm not exaggerating, the same unit that Lexus puts in the RX 350. I'll tell you the price you can get the used for. It's embarrassing. And car number 1, I'll say this once, has a driver satisfaction score that beats the Honda CR-V on Edmunds. Most people who hear that refuse to believe me. They'll believe me by the end. Car number 3, 2016 Mazda CX-5. Car number 3 was ranked the single most reliable compact SUV of the last decade by RepairPal, out of 26 vehicles they tracked. Number 1. And it sells a third of what a RAV4 does. A third. I had a customer come in 2 years ago, 2015 CX-5, 89,000 miles. She was trading it in because she thought it was getting old. I put it on the lift, went through everything. You know what I found? Nothing. Brakes had some life left. Fluids were fine. Engine was clean. I looked her in the eye and told her she was about to make a $20,000 mistake. She kept the car. She's at 147,000 miles now and the thing still drives like the day she bought it. The reason this engine lasts is simple. Mazda built it with a 13:1 compression ratio and no turbocharger. That's engineering shorthand for, they wrung every bit of efficiency out of naturally aspirated air and fuel, which means there's no turbo to fail, no intercooler to leak, and no boost pressure destroying piston rings ahead of schedule. Timing chain not belt. Conventional 6-speed automatic, no CVT. Every decision Mazda made on this powertrain was a decision to build something that outlasts the payments. The one thing that will bite you on these if you ignore it, and the only reason you should ever pass on a first-gen CX-5, is carbon buildup on the intake valves. Direct injection engines don't wash the valves with fuel the way port-injected engines do. By 130,000 miles, if it hasn't been cleaned, you'll have deposits that choke airflow and kill performance. Walnut blasting at a shop runs $400 to $600. That is the one big-ticket item on this vehicle's entire life. Compare that to a CVT replacement at $4,000 to $9,000, which is what you're risking on comparable vehicles in this price range. If you're buying a first-gen CX-5, get a quick inspection on the intake valves at purchase. And once you own it, rev it above 5,000 RPM at least a few times a month. I know that sounds strange, but high RPM driving raises intake temperatures and slows deposit buildup. It's the cheapest maintenance you'll ever do. It's free. You're also looking for 2015 or the 2016 mid-year refresh as your target years. Avoid 2013 and 2014. The 4-cylinder power upgrade came in 2014, but calibration issues showed up that year. 2015 is the sweet spot. A used market price of $8,000 to $11,000 for the most reliably rated compact SUV of the last decade. If that math doesn't make sense to you, I don't know what to tell you. Buy it, clean the valves at 130,000, and drive it to 220,000. Who should buy? You want an SUV that starts every single morning without drama, you're planning to keep it over 150,000 miles, and you understand that build quality matters more than cargo space. That's the CX-5 buyer. Who should walk away? You've got 3 kids and a stroller and a dog. The 29 cubic feet behind the rear seats will feel tight. Go look at something larger. And if you want Apple CarPlay on a first gen, it's not there. Infotainment is dated. That was the one that's hiding in plain sight. This next one? Most people already know the name, and they're still leaving money on the table because of a scandal that ended in 2008. CR number 2, 2009 to 2012 Toyota RAV4 V6. There is a version of the Toyota RAV4 you can buy right now for $8,000 to $12,000 that has the same engine as the Lexus RX 350. The exact same engine. Not similar. Not derived from. The same unit. It's the 3.5-liter 2GR FE V6. It makes 269 horsepower, and Lexus charges you $45,000 for it. Toyota charged much less, and the internet is still warning people away from it because of an engine problem that was fixed before Obama's first term. Let me tell you exactly what happened with the 2006 to 2008 RAV4s, because this is where the reputation got destroyed. The 2.4-liter engine in those early models had a piston ring defect. The rings carbonized, sometimes by 60,000 miles, and the engine would consume a quart of oil every 500 miles. Toyota knew about it, issued a technical service bulletin, and faced a class action lawsuit. It was a real problem on the 2006, 2007, and 2008 models. In 2009, they scrapped that engine entirely and put in the 2.5-liter 2ARFE. Different block, different bore, dual VVTi, cast iron cylinder liners. Forum mechanics have documented that engine running to 320,000 miles with zero oil consumption issues. 320,000 miles. But because search results still return RAV4 oil consumption problem, buyers walk right past the 2009 through 2012 generation. That's the arbitrage. The 2009 and up 4-cylinder is already exceptional. But if you can find the V6, and they exist for the same money, you're looking at a vehicle that is genuinely overbuilt for its price point. Timing chain not belt. Locking center differential on AWD models. Not an electronic clutch pack that slips under load, an actual mechanical lock. That's technology you don't find in compact SUVs at any price point today. The V6 AWD also comes with a full-size spare under the rear cargo floor, not one of those space-saver donuts that leaves you stranded on a highway shoulder in a rainstorm. The one thing to watch on these, and it's manageable, is the water pump. The 4-cylinder uses a plastic impeller pump that tends to fail between 80,000 and 120,000 miles. You will not get a warning light. You will get steam. Repair runs $320 to $580 on the 4-cylinder, over $1,000 on the V6 because of access. Proactive replacement at 100,000 miles costs you $400 and buys you total peace of mind. That is your only real scheduled risk on this powertrain. When you're buying one of these, pull the dipstick and look at the oil. If it smells burnt or looks black at low mileage, either the owner has been running it too long between changes, or you found one of the pre-2009 defective models mislabeled. On any 2009 through 2012, set your oil change interval at 5,000 miles with full synthetic, regardless of what Toyota's maintenance minder says. The minder is calibrated for Toyota's warranty period. You're planning to own this thing for 250,000 miles. Those are different goals. If this kind of information is useful to you, if you'd rather know what I actually see on lifts than read a press release, hit subscribe. I put out one of these a week. No fluff. The 2010 RAV4 V6 AWD is one of the 10 best used vehicle purchases available in America right now. I will put my name on that. Lexus-derived engine, locking AWD, under $12,000. RepairPal ranks it 3rd out of 26 in its class. The people sleeping on this car are paying for a better brand name elsewhere and getting worse engineering. Who should buy? You want a Toyota badge, genuine long-term reliability, and AWD capability, and you'd rather spend $10,000 than $20,000. You're keeping it past 200,000 miles. You don't care about heated seats or wireless charging. This is the car. Who should walk away? You want the latest safety tech. This generation predates lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking, all of it. If that matters for your situation, move to a newer generation. You'll pay more, but you'll have the features. A Lexus engine for $12,000. That's number 2. Number 1 is the car that will make some of you close this video in disbelief, and that's fine. The ones who stay and understand what I'm about to explain are going to walk into a dealership this weekend and find a vehicle that is objectively better maintained, has a higher satisfaction score than the Honda CR-V, and costs roughly half as much. That's not an opinion. That's data. Let's go. Car number 1, 2017 to 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander. Number 1. The Mitsubishi Outlander. I know. I see you reaching for the back button. Don't. A 2017 Outlander SE, WD, third row, heated seats, power liftgate, 100,000 miles on it, $8,000 to $10,000. A 2017 RAV4 AWD with the same mileage? $16,000 to $19,000. The Outlander scored higher owner satisfaction on Edmunds than the CR-V. RepairPal gives it a 4 out of 5 and ranks Mitsubishi 6th out of 32 manufacturers for reliability. The only difference between how these two vehicles are priced is the badge on the hood. And that badge is saving you $8,000. Last spring, 2015 Outlander SWD, 104,000 miles. A customer bought it for $9,000. I went through the whole vehicle. The 2.4-liter engine was clean. The timing chain is still perfect. The only thing I flagged was the CVT fluid. Hadn't been changed since the car was new. I told him, change this fluid today, change it again at 30,000 miles, and this transmission will outlive you. He listened. He's at 137,000 miles now with 0 transmission symptoms. The people who have CVT failures on these vehicles? I can tell you exactly what happened every single time. They ran the original factory fluid from new to 150,000 miles. Because Mitsubishi calls it lifetime fluid. The lifetime fluid narrative is one of the most expensive lies in the automotive industry, and it benefits no one but the manufacturer and the transmission rebuilder. The Outlander's 2.4-liter MIVEC engine, chain-driven timing, naturally aspirated, aluminum block, has been in production since 2006 and has documented examples exceeding 350,000 kilometers. No turbo. No direct injection, which means no carbon buildup on intake valves. The AWD system available on the SE trim is called SWC, Super All-Wheel Control, and it uses an electronically controlled center differential with active yaw control. That technology came directly from the Lancer Evolution Rally program. Mitsubishi put World Rally Championship technology in a family SUV that sells for $9,000 for used. Think about that for a second. The CVT is the only weak point, and it is entirely a maintenance problem, not a design problem. A conventional automatic transmission tolerates dirty fluid. A CVT's internal pulley belt does not. Change it every 30,000 miles regardless of what the manual says, and this transmission will not fail on you. CVT fluid changes every 30,000 miles, roughly $35 to $50 in parts if you do it yourself. 4 quarts of Mitsubishi Outlander CVJ4 spec fluid, a drain plug, and 45 minutes. Ignore it and let the fluid degrade to sludge, which I've pulled out of these in the shop, black as tar, and you're looking at $4,000 to $9,500 for a CVT replacement. That is a $10,000 swing on a $40 maintenance item. I have seen this exact sequence play out more times than I want to count. Here is the 3-step by protocol for any used Outlander. 1. Pull the CVT dipstick if accessible, or have an independent shop do a fluid check before purchase. If it's dark brown or smells burnt, walk away or negotiate the replacement into the price. 2. Run a VIN on NHTSA's recall database. There are open recalls on some years that dealers must fix for free. 3. Once you own it, set a phone calendar reminder for every 30,000 miles. CVT fluid. That is your entire risk management strategy on this vehicle. 7 seats. Rally-derived AWD. Proven engine with 350,000 kilometers documented. Under $10,000. And the internet has been talking you out of it because of brand reputation from 2004. The best deals in the used car market are always hiding behind a bad story. Sometimes the story is old. Sometimes it was never that bad to begin with. The Outlander is both. Who should buy? You need 7 seats and AWD under $10,000. You're keeping this vehicle past 200,000 miles and you actually want the maintenance to stay cheap. You understand that CarMax and Carvana are going to charge you a premium for a Honda badge and you'd rather have a better AWD system and a third row. Who should walk away? If you're going to sell this in 3 years, the resale disadvantage of the Mitsubishi badge will cost you money at trade-in. If you care about cutting-edge tech and premium interior materials, spend more. And if you want a hybrid drivetrain in this price range, this generation doesn't have it. 3 vehicles. One ranked number 1 in its class for reliability that sells a third of its competition. One with a Lexus engine for $8,000 that everyone ignores because of a 2006 scandal. and one the internet can't stop bashing that has higher owner satisfaction than the Honda CR-V. The used car market does not price reliability. It prices perception. That gap between what something costs and what it's actually worth is where the smart money goes every single time. You know more right now than 90% of the people who will walk onto a used car lot this weekend. Next time a salesperson says, "This one's super reliable," you know exactly what to ask. You know what to look up. And you know what to pass on because of a problem that was fixed 15 years ago. If you want to know the cars going in the other direction, the ones I actually turn away because the repair cost exceeds what the car's worth, I made a whole video on that. It's right here. Watch that before you buy anything. Like, comment and share to your loved ones walking into the dealer lot this weekend. 20 years at the bench. Take it for what it's worth. See you in the next one.